I found out my girlfriend is homeless yesterday morning. I was heading out early to grab coffee when I spotted a familiar figure standing in line outside a shelter 2 blocks from my apartment. Same posture, same walk. Then I saw the hoodie, mine. The navy one I thought I'd lost 3 weeks ago. Maya told me she'd accidentally taken it home after a date. I didn't think anything of it. I stopped walking. She hadn't seen me. She was looking down at her phone, shifting her weight from foot to foot the way she does when she's cold. The line stretched about 20 people deep outside a building I'd walked past 100 times without ever really looking at. It was 7 in the morning. We'd been together 4 months. Met at a farmer's market when we both grabbed the last sourdough loaf at the same time. She got to it half a second before me and offered to split it. We sat at a picnic table for 2 hours and talked about everything. She was funny in this dry, effortless way. Sharp, remembered every small detail you told her. By the time we stood up to leave, I already knew I wanted to see her again. Over the next few months, I learned pieces of her. She worked 2 jobs, a lunch shift at a diner, and weekends at a packaging warehouse. She was saving for community college. She talked about her dad sometimes, a little, just enough to let me know he was gone and that she missed him. She never talked about her mom. She never mentioned siblings. Anytime I asked about her family, she'd steer the conversation somewhere else so smoothly I barely noticed it happening. I always picked her up and dropped her off at the same building. Nice lobby, doorman out front. I assumed it was her apartment complex. She never corrected me. I should have paid more attention. The signs were there. I just wasn't reading them. She never invited me inside. Always some excuse. Her roommate was asleep. She had an early shift. It was easier to just say goodnight at the door. She always said yes to food, but never suggested restaurants, always letting me pick. She returned every favor instantly, almost anxiously, like she couldn't let anything go unbalanced. One time I left a 20 in her jacket pocket because I knew she was low that week, and she handed it back to me 2 days later without saying a word about it. I thought she was just fiercely independent, private. I respected it. Standing on that sidewalk, watching her stand in that line, I understood what I'd actually been looking at. I didn't walk over. I couldn't. She had this focused, calm look on her face, the same one she gets when she's working through something in her head, and I didn't want to crack that. Whatever she'd built to get herself through each morning, I didn't want to be the one to knock it over. So I just stood there, half a block back, and pulled out my phone. I texted her good morning. I watched her reach into her jacket pocket, watched her read it, watched her smile. This small, real smile, the kind that's involuntary. Then she typed back, "Good morning. I'm home. Just made eggs. Miss you." I stared at my phone for a long time. She was still standing in that line when I looked back up. I walked to the coffee shop, sat in a corner booth, ordered something I didn't taste, kept turning the whole thing over in my head, trying to figure out what I actually knew versus what I'd assumed. I thought about every time I dropped her off at that building. Every time she'd said goodnight at the door and disappeared inside and I'd driven home thinking everything was fine. She'd been performing a whole version of her life for me, consistently, for 4 months, and I hadn't seen it. I wasn't angry. I want to be clear about that. I wasn't angry at all. What I felt was something closer to grief, not for myself, but for the amount of energy it must have taken her to hold that together. 2 jobs, no permanent place to sleep, and still showing up to every date on time, still texting back, still laughing at my jokes, still asking about my week like she had all the space in the world to care about someone else's life. She smiled when she read my text. That's the part I keep coming back to. She's standing in line at a shelter at 7 in the morning, and the one thing that made her smile was a text from me. I don't know what to do with that except take it seriously. I want to say something to her. I want to help. But Maya is proud in this quiet, non-negotiable way. She's never once asked me for anything. She handed back $20 rather than let me help her without being asked. If I bring this up wrong, if I make her feel exposed or pitied, or like the balance between us just shifted completely, I'm afraid of what she does with that. I don't want her to disappear. I just want her to know she doesn't have to perform anything for me. She never did. I just don't know how to say that without making it worse.